All right, let's talk about the stories we almost never get to hear. I'm talking about the powerful, often silenced voices that, even when we can't hear them, they're the ones shaping the very soul of a nation.
And to help us get our heads around this, we're going to look at it through this really cool modern allegory, this voice known as Zoran the Dragon. And this quote, man, it just sets the stage perfectly. Because we're not just talking about some old, dusty, overlooked history here. Nope. We're talking about a force that is actively being held down, but just refuses to disappear. It's a truth that somehow, some way, finds a way to sing even from the ashes. And that's really the crucial point, isn't it? Even when the powers that be try to muffle these voices, the voices of workers, of dreamers, of rebels, they don't just poof vanish. They echo. They're still out there, shaping our world in ways we probably don't even realize. So, okay, that brings up a really important question. Who are these people? Who exactly are we talking about here? When I say the forgotten, whose faces should we be picturing? Well, think about it. We're talking about the very people who make our world function. It's the janitor making sure our kids have a clean, safe place to learn. It's the farm worker out there whose backbreaking labor puts food on our tables. It's the nurse playing an all-nighter, literally keeping people alive. But it's also the disruptors. It's the dreamer who looks at a broken system and says, we can do better. And it's the rebel who finally draws a line in the sand and just says, no. So let's be absolutely crystal clear on this one thing. Being uncredited is not the same as being powerless. Not even close. The collective weight of their experiences, their work, their resistance, that is a profound force. It's what we're calling the uncredited power, the very thing that builds and sustains the soul of our society. Okay, so why are they silenced? Here's the thing. This isn't an accident. It's not just something that happens. It's actually a calculated effort. It's like an entire architecture designed to keep these voices quiet, to maintain a certain story. And it's built using some very specific tools of erasure. And these tools, they can be really, really sneaky. Take something called forced arbitration. Sounds boring, right? But it's this little clause, usually buried deep in the fine print of an employment contract, that acts like a quiet but super effective gag. So let's say a warehouse worker gets injured because of unsafe conditions. Well, this little clause can stop them from ever suing in a public court. Instead, their whole case gets pushed into this private system, totally hidden from public view. And just like that, their voice is cut off from the public record. And then there's the one you've probably heard of, NDAs, non-disclosure agreements. A lot of us sign these on our very first day at a new job. Now, sure, they have legitimate uses, but they can also be totally weaponized. They can be used to stop employees from ever speaking out about shady ethics or big systemic problems they see. It's basically a muzzle, but written into a contract. So, you combine these legal tools with the fact that these stories are almost never in our media or our history books, and what do you get? The outcome is pretty stark, right? It's a deliberate erasure from our public memory. It creates this huge, gaping hole in who we think we are as a nation. But here's the flip side, and this is where Zoran the Dragon comes back in. These voices, they aren't polite. They're definitely not convenient for the people in charge, but that's exactly why they're so powerful. They carry the real story, the unfiltered, necessary history of a nation. And that truth, that's a profound source of resistance. Which brings us to the final and honestly the most important part of this whole thing. Because this isn't just about us listening to these ideas, it's about participating. This is a call to action. It's a way for you to actively help break the silence. It's a framework called the Dragon Trial, and it has 4 simple steps. Step 1. Name a forgotten voice. Think about someone in your own life whose contribution goes unheralded and just name them. Step 2. Draw their flame. Try to visualize the essence of what makes them powerful, their courage, their kindness, whatever it is. Step 3. Break the silence. Go find a hidden story from your local community, maybe about marginalized people or workers, and share it. And finally, step 4. Write a letter to power. Take one of these stories and channel it into action. Demand real change on behalf of the silenced. There are these lines from Zoran's poem that just capture the whole spirit of this so perfectly. For silence is brittle, and truth always grows in gardens of memory where forgotten light glows. I mean, think about that. Silence seems strong, but it's brittle. It can be broken. But truth? That's like a seed. It will always, always find a way to grow. especially in those gardens of memory where we choose to protect these forgotten stories. So, as we wrap this up, the question on the screen here, it's not just some thought experiment. It's a mission. It's a challenge from me to you. Look around your world. Really listen for those echoes we've been talking about. And then decide, whose voice are you going to amplify?